Hey, I'm David Rountree. I am the director of the film Cut, and you are watching the 13th Wolf Man. And I'll do the NC State Wolf. Ow!
Hey everyone, you know who I am. I'm the 13th Wolfman. That is right. I'm here with David Rountree. He's a writer, director, editor, producer, and he holds a record for the longest extra point in football. Welcome to Sit Down, David.
Man, you did some research, huh? I'm very happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, you played many sports in high school and college. You were baseball, you were football, you were drafted 16th round to Buffalo. Did you see any playtime?
Uh, I think I saw more playtime doing commercials and films as an athlete than I ever did after my college career. So
Wow.
it was one of those things. Well, I was drafted in the XF or the RFL. The RFL is the regional
The
football
regional
league.
football league. Yeah.
Right. And after the first season, when we got picked up, the league actually collapsed because the XFL started, which was the Vince McMahon Football
Yeah,
League.
yeah.
So after that happened, we all became free agents again. We went back out, and then I tried with my sports agent at the time, and we tried different rounds, different avenues to go other places. So we tried the arena ball for a while. I was up in Albany with the New York, trying to with the Albany Firebirds, trying to land up there. Moved around, tried to land at some other places. We talked about Canadian Football League for a while, and we just bounced around, and nothing really ever stuck. I did have a look with the Washington Redskins. I was in a camp with the Redskins and did the absolute best I could have done, and it wasn't good enough. So that was my calling to let me know that football's not going to be my career.
Yeah, but then you moved over to baseball, and you were also a semi-pro baseball player.
Yes. Well, I've been playing baseball my entire life, which is actually funny. It's actually, I think, how I got my start in filmmaking. As weird as that sounds, I've been catching my entire life. And when I was 4 years old, my dad was watching the Little League World Series on TV and explaining it to me. Okay, this is how this works. This is the catcher. My dad was a catcher, so he was showing me all the fundamentals and talking to me. He said, "Is this something you think you'd like to do?" And here I am, 4 years old, getting ready to turn five. And I said, "Yeah, I would love to do that." And I was talking about being on television, and he was talking about playing baseball. So I went and signed up with my dad at the baseball park and started playing. And I kept looking around for how's this going to be on TV. But I played my entire life, all the way through high school, then played through college, and after that kept playing, and I'm still playing.
You played
Pretty
with Jose Canseco.
I did. I did. I was on the MSBL All Star team a few years ago. We were actually on opposite teams, so we were in the same division, playing against each
Well,
other.
well, either way you're playing, they're still with one another. I mean,
Yes, right.
yeah.
But on the All Star team, I was picked to be the catcher that year. One of two catchers on the team, and he was on the team because he's Jose Canseco and he's awesome. And Brett Saberhagen was also on that team. Matt Winsnet, who played I think for the Padres and a bunch of other teams, and we were all on the same team for the All Star team playing against the other division, and it was a lot of fun. And my claim to fame against Jose was in the home run derby that year. We tied. I tied Jose Canseco in the home run derby. We both had
There you
zero.
go. Got zero.
He was
Wow.
hitting these moon balls that were just straight up in the air, and they were just landing just short of the fence. He was trying, I think, just to kill it, and never got one out of the first 10 outs. And for me, I was just hitting everything to right field and just slapping balls around, and wasn't even close. But in the books, we tied at zero.
I saw Jose play once when he was still in the minors.
Yeah.
He played he played for the Tacoma Tigers up in Washington, and they were the AAA team for the athletes. And at
Oh,
the time, he was batting 1,000.
one for one.
Yeah, every time he is up, pop, pop, pop. It's
No, I did get to face him as a batter because he pitched, which he never really did in the major leagues. I think he threw a couple innings, and in our league, he was he's a little older, so he wasn't as probably as mobile as he used to be. Out in the outfield running around, but he did pitch some in our league, and he throws knuckleball after knuckleball, knuckleball. And I faced him one time, and after he probably threw 30 knuckleballs in a row, I come up to bat, and he throws me a fastball right down the pipe, and somehow I hit it right back up the middle and got a base hit off of him. And when I got to first, he looked at me and says, "I had your whole at bat planned out," and I was like, "Well, I just got lucky on that one." So my lifetime batting average against Canseco is 1,000. I only saw him that one time,
That's cool.
but it just got very lucky. I probably closed my eyes when I swung or something. I don't know, but I got lucky with it.
So what is going back to the football thing? What is the record for the longest? I mean, you hold it. What is it?
Yes, it's the longest extra point,
Right.
which it's kind of a fluky thing. It's not like no one can kick it as far as I did. It just turned out to be a really fluky thing. So my senior year in high school, uh, we were playing a crosstown rival, so tension was really, really high. A lot of talking back and forth, a lot of trash talking, and
Yeah, I
Antoine
know that.
Harris was on our team. Antoine, who played for the Patriots for a couple years during their Super Bowl
Wow.
years, he bounced around to the Cleveland Browns, and he was in the league for a while. He played at UVA. So Antoine and I were at the same high school. We were buddies. He was a freshman. I was a senior. So we go down. We score the first touchdown, and I'm a kicker. Don't let my size fool you. I'm not a linebacker, or anything. But so we score the first touchdown, and as I'm getting ready to go kick the extra point, there's a flag on the field, and it was an unsportsmanlike because somebody, Antoine, was talking trash to the other team. So as that happened, I guess
That,
Antoine wasn't too happy with the official. So as the official went to pick the flag up, Antoine told the official, I think, what he could do with that flag, and the official just dropped it again.
that's
And
15 yards, man.
so it's 15 yards plus another 15, and the other team opted to back us up on the extra point instead of the kickoff, so it became a 50-yard extra point, and just one of those fluky things. And I was very fortunate the coach gave me the opportunity to kick it and go out there and try it, and it's just one of those things that had never been done. And since extra points are almost always never penalized now after a touchdown for excessive,
Yeah.
celebration or whatever it is, they always go to the kickoff. It may be something that lasts for a really long time, which it's been there now for 20 some years.
Hey, man, it's something. You've got a record. I mean,
It's something.
yeah.
It's just one of those fluky things. And Antoine and I joked about it for many years after that, that if he hadn't been talking trash, it never would have gone down. So I thank him for running his mouth a little bit. He's a
So,
great guy, though. I love Antoine.
so where do you transition your life from playing sports to getting into filmmaking?
It's a good question. I think that I started making movies back in seventh grade when I had a project I was supposed to do for a history class, and I approached a teacher. My friend had a video camera, and I approached a teacher. Instead of writing a paper, I was looking for what I thought would be the easy way out, and said, "Can I make a movie about the subject instead?" And the teacher said yes. So I picked up the camera, didn't have any clue what I was doing, and I filmed a bunch of just stuff and threw it together and made a movie out of it. Well, that was kind of the first time I got my hands dirty as far as making something like that, but I also really enjoyed the process. So since then, I tried to make movies whenever I could for class projects. Because I'm living in a small town in North Carolina at the time, there's no connection to Los Angeles. There's no connection to making anything real. It's just you just do it and have fun with it. So as that went on, I made a movie on the '60s in my junior year in high school, and we got some really good got a good grade on the project from a really strict teacher, but there was a lot of compliments on the creative process of it. And I think that was the first one that I really kind of directed because I was making decisions which impacted the style of the project, the humor of it, and how we did certain things. And I think that's where it kind of got its legs. But again, there was no avenue to do this. There was this land on the other side of the country, California, which was this, make believe place to me. It didn't seem like it was even a real place. It was just this Hollywood thing that was out there. When I ended up with my stint with the Redskins and it didn't take, when I got released and didn't do anything with the Redskins, I came back to NC State and I was working with one of the kickers and coaching him. So as I'm coaching him, his girlfriend worked at an acting school, and we started just talking, and she said, "Have you ever thought about acting?" And I had done some acting my first 2 years in college, just because the girl that ran the program was cute and I had a crush on her, so I signed up.
Did you marry her?
No, I did not. Although my
Okay,
wife is an actress, so I'm not even sure what happened to that girl at the time.
okay.
But I did follow her into the acting field. That girl at the time, and wherever she went, I was like a little puppy dog. I was right behind, She was a senior, I was a freshman, and man, that was it. So I was, yeah, I'll get up on stage. Sure, I'll do this skit, I'll do this play, whatever we need to do. And, I ended up enjoying that side of it, and enjoying being able to be creatively expressive, which I had really never had an avenue to do that being an athlete. As an athlete, you really kind of shelter your emotions to some degree, and you're all about the animalistic, get out there and attack and be the aggressor. But being up on stage and doing something kind of opened it up a little bit on the creatively emotional side, I think, which I had never tapped into. And I found it interesting when I came back and started working with the guy at NC State, and his girlfriend suggested this acting school. I signed up, and I had no idea what to expect. But a girl in my class was on a local television series, a regional series on the East Coast, and she invited me to set one day, and I went out and kind of met the producers and the director of the show, the episode, and we started talking. And it turned out they were casting someone that I was, physically right for. I was greener than green. I had no idea what I was doing, but I ended up getting an audition for it, and my audition happened right there on the spot. They gave me the sides and said, "Would you like to read these and go home and practice?" And I just said, "I'll do them right now," not knowing any different, and just dumb luck and ignorance. And I fell into it, and I lasted on the show for 11 episodes.
I was gonna say that's the one. Yeah, I read about that you were on the show for like. I thought it said 15, but 11. Okay, that's.
It was 11 episodes. Well, okay, 11 episodes, but there's a caveat to that, because after the 11, I made my decision to come to Los Angeles, to move out here, and I met a manager who dealt with athletes and getting athletes in front of the camera. Doing a lot of commercial work and film work where they're very sport specific. You see a baseball commercial where there's a catcher. Well, I'm a catcher, so I can handle that. There's a swimmer. There's a football player, whatever it is. So that's kind of where I got my start. But when I made the move out here, they still did 4 episodes that they filmed when I went back home. They put me, because my character was a football player in the storyline. He was a high school senior who had a hidden drinking problem, which we didn't know existed until I decided to leave the show. And they said, "How are we going to get rid of this guy?" So they put me in rehab. So my rehab was conversations from the rehab center. They just kind of insert throughout to kind of weed my character out. So I wasn't really going back and filming, but there were 4 other episodes.
So what show was that?
It was called Teen Scene. It was kind of like a Dawson's Creek-ish, One Tree Hill.
Junior High.
Something like that. Yeah, really, low budget, non-union kind of regional series. But it helped me get my feet wet, and really, by being in that environment, where it wasn't a big giant show, I was able to kind of dabble around and talk to the guys running camera and talk to the director and the producers and see how all of that worked. And that really piqued my interest to go on the other side of the camera, which is where I am now.
And then when you move out to California, NC like blows up, because after a while they started filming everything down there.
I know, I just missed it.
Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, Felicity were all filmed down there.
Yeah, down at Wilmington. Screen Gems was big down there in Wilmington, but most of that is still, all the main roles were cast out of Los Angeles, the acting roles. But the crew positions were coming out of North Carolina. True. But at that point, I didn't realize that I would be working behind the camera, as a director and other positions like that. I was just thinking that, move to Los Angeles and within a week I'll be on a TV series or something, which is the dream everybody has, which doesn't really happen,
So getting around to cut.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. You wrote, directed, edited, produced this movie. How long did it take you to write this?
Well, I co-wrote the movie with David Banks, who plays the lead actor in Cut. David won Best Actor for Cut in the 2014 Indie Fest Film Festival.
And so you won Best Director.
Yeah, yeah, he did. Thank you.
Yeah.
So David is just a phenomenal actor. We met in an acting class years ago, and he was doing mostly comedic things. I was doing mostly dramatic things. But there was this attraction to each other's work. When he's on stage, I couldn't stop watching him. I was just fascinated by what he did, and he was just brilliant comedically. So we started working together and writing scenes, and we would put those scenes up in our class and just kind of flesh them out and see what worked and what didn't work. And we learned how to work together as writers. When we wrote a comedy script together way back, maybe in 2005 or 6, and we were pitching the script, and it was finally had legs. At one point that kind of faded out. It was an investor was ready to put the money in, and then the investor was going to get a divorce from his wife, and the wife was still going to get half of what the movie made, so he pulled his money out. And it was just one of these things that just kind of kept snowballing. So the project kept getting shelved. We finally had it in the hands of a big studio several years ago who really liked the project, but they wanted to push it and wait and wait and wait. So talking with David, we said, in the meantime, do you just want to go shoot something? And we decided to do that. So we sat down and we started brainstorming and getting ideas for cut and how we wanted to do it. And we came up with this outline, and it just started from there. And we crafted the overall story, and then sat down and started writing the scenes, and it just kind of led to where it ended up eventually. But it was a long process.
It really is a good movie. I really like it. I love the fact that right now out there in the indie market is really is flooded right now with a lot of good films. It's not just someone saying, "Hey, I could be a director, I could be a movie maker. I got a digital camera and some editing software."
Right.
That scene in the movie with Susan
Lanier.
Lanier.
Fun of it, right?
I love that. And oh my God, Susan Lanier. Okay, dude, she was a crush of mine growing up. So I was just like, Susan Lanier's in this movie. Oh my God, I just, how did you get Susan Lanier?
Suze, my manager at the time also repped Suze. My manager's Eileen O'Farrell, and Eileen actually helped us out with a lot of the casting, which is great. Several of the clients were repped by Eileen, and I've been with Eileen for years. She's just an amazing woman. And when I was talking to her about the project, I said, "Do you have any clients who are right for some of these roles?" And she says, "Well, I rep this person and this person and this person." And as soon as she said Suze, my eyes got this big. I'm like, "You rep Suze Lanier, really?" I was just completely thrown, because the scene we talk about is true. Although my character, in the movie talked about going to film school. I never went to film school. My degree's in history, but I did watch that movie a million times. I did fall in love back then with Suze Lanier and just the art of the indie filmmaking during that time. And when it was the possibility of having her attached to the project became a reality, oh yeah, it was no questions. It was just fantastic. And we wanted to get her the project and see if she was interested. And thank goodness she was. She was great.
Yeah, and Dee Wallace's daughter,
Yeah, we originally were trying to get Dee Wallace and Gabrielle's mother, and Suze to be in the scene together. And Dee was filming something else at the time and wasn't available, but Gabrielle was. And I didn't know Gabrielle at the time. So the manager also repped Gabrielle at the same time. And so she says, "Well, what about Gabrielle?" And I thought that would be just fantastic. And Gabrielle came in, and I'd never met her until the day she showed up on set. And her performance is just spectacular. She's fantastic. And just to have that, and it's also now two generations of that level, where you have Suze from Hills Have Eyes, of course, and Gabrielle Stone, in there as well. So it was really kind of fun having her on set and playing around.
Yeah, like I said, I love this movie. The other character is creepy as hell.
Which one? There are a few.
You know who I'm talking about. The one that ticks off Susan Lanier.
Oh yeah, that guy, right? David Banks as Lane Hayes. Yeah. It's funny. There's a lot of inside humor in this movie, but it's the film is kind of a satire on the independent filmmaking world, and it's a satire on the horror filmmaking world on top of that. And we make fun of a lot of different things. The scene with Suze and David, it was scripted one way, but we let them kind of play with the dialogue a little bit and move things around. And what those two were able to create together is just phenomenal. I mean, it's the script was there, but they took it to a whole nother level with what they were able to bring to it. Just the looks, and you could feel the emotion behind what's going on, even when they're not saying anything. And to me, that's very important as a filmmaker. If I can capture that and get somebody's reaction, that's stronger than what's being said. But what's being said is so funny in such a dark, twisted way. And Susan's a great sport about it.
Yeah, I'm watching that. I'm going, she's got to reach across and throttle this guy. That's the only way this can end.
She should have. And Gabrielle wanted to.
Well, you got the best line.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with all the hats you wear doing this movie, what's the hardest? What was the hardest hat to wear?
Um, that's a good question. It's to me, it's fun wearing multiple hats. It is a challenge because you have to always be available for every single hat you're wearing. And I didn't want to jeopardize the film in any way when I was in front of the camera because my ultimate goal is the entire process. It's the entire film as a whole has to come together. So I still have to kind of keep my director hat on, but as an actor, you want to, you know, uh, totally embrace the role and be so into it that that's your only concern. But yet I'm always technically thinking about, is this working? Is this happening? And for a lot of the moments, I just made sure we took care of everybody else first, and then we moved in for any time I was in front of the camera by myself, on a separate basis. So I could just take care of my stuff when there was nobody else around. We'd release everybody else, then work on my close-ups because originally I didn't really want to be in the movie. David and I wrote it for these two characters in mind, and he persuaded me to end up taking this role. We were trying to find different roles, and he was so brilliant as this character as Lane, and the chemistry I think we had just from knowing each other and writing it together. It was hard to find somebody else who could connect with him, I think, on camera. So he convinced me to do it, and I'm happy I did. It was definitely a challenge, though. Wearing all those hats.
It's got to be that's the hardest thing I'd have to think as directing yourself has got to be the hardest thing.
Well, I trust my crew. I trust the people that I work with. I've worked with them before, and if I wasn't doing something that was up to par, they would let me know. And I appreciate that, and I value that. And as friends, David and I are friends, and the same thing. If he did something that I thought would work better a different way, he was very open to listen and be receptive to that. Where a lot of people, when you have that relationship where you're so close and so tight, that it's easy to kind of shun them and say, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And there was no egos or anything like that, which made it so much easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, David,
Yes.
as we talk about it, let's show the people the trailer for it. You want to introduce this? It's your film.
Yeah, this is I think you guys have the official cut trailer. And, it really reads, the trailer is actually interesting. When we had to do our version for MPAA, all the blood had to be darkened to black color because you can't put red blood in a movie trailer. Just a fun trivia thing. But the trailer really kind of, what's that?
Unless it's a red band trailer, right? Then all bets are off.
All bets are off. You can do whatever you want. So this trailer is it's a very dark, twisted trailer. It'll give you kind of an insight to what the movie's about, and it'll take you on a fun journey.
Disturbing news in North Hollywood. 2 headless female bodies were found early this morning, and police are now saying this could be the work of a possible serial killer.
I got an idea how to make some easy money. We can make a movie by getting real people and just scaring them. Let's do it. Every big horror movie's got like a larger-than-life bad guy. I think we gotta find somebody like that.
Wait a second, that's a homeless guy from out back.
She's perfect.
Now it's fun.
Take this. Just scare her.
The guy came in there with a knife and he slit her throat.
We're accomplices to murder. I just don't know why I have to be the one to do this.
I guess the director can do whatever he wants, right?
We're making a movie. Elena!
So where do we go from here?
And there you go. That's the trailer for Cut. Man, I can't stop saying how much I love this movie. I mean, you probably get tired of hearing it all the time, huh?
No, are you kidding? it's great. No, I really appreciate that. There was a lot of thought that went into it, and and Cut doesn't hit everybody the same way. So, I'm really happy that you had a good experience with it, and So far, the critics have been very positive, and we're very happy with that. I think that if you go into it expecting it to be a gore fest, you're going to be disappointed because it wasn't made like that. You know, it is a story to it. It's a very smart film, and it's not just a slash and dash. And I think if you're expecting that, you know, you're going to be let down. But that was never our intention.
I'm a horror fan from way back. I've been a horror fan since I was 5. So when I go into a horror movie expecting stuff that I don't always expect it to be hack and gash. I'm just expecting to have a good time.
That's great. That's
You
great.
know?
I'm the same way. You know,
And
and
so-
it kind of has a lot of humor to it. It's very dark, twisted humor. And I think David Banks and I were both fans of movies. You know, the first rated R movie I ever saw was The Lost Boys. You know,
wow.
and seeing that and looking back at the time, it was all scary. You know, I was younger, but looking back and watching it over and over many times, there's a lot of humor that goes into that movie. You know,
No,
and
there is.
we kind of like that aspect of it because it keeps it light, it keeps it fun, and that's the way Cut is. There's a lot of dark, twisted humor, but a lot of times you're just kind of laughing, and even though you're laughing on the inside because you know you shouldn't be laughing, especially at Lane, David Banks's character, what he's
Yeah.
saying is so dark. You're like, I shouldn't be laughing, but that's really funny. And then you get to a point where all of a sudden you're wrapped up in this journey, and you wonder how you got there. And that was kind of our goal with that, to take people on this journey and try to sink them into something without them realizing what was really happening.
Yeah. So you have another movie. I saw on your IMDb you got another movie coming out, 108 Stitches.
Yes. 108 Stitches is a romantic baseball comedy. It was in theaters last September. And 108 Stitches is a very fun film. It actually centers around the Orem Owls. The Orem Owls are a single A team for the Angels organization. But in our story, we played them as a college team. And it stars Golden Globe winner Bruce Davison, Larry Thomas, who's the soup Nazi from Seinfeld,
Yeah.
Erin Cahill, who's the former. She always gets mad at me when I say this. She's the former Pink Power Ranger, which she loves and embraces, but she's done a million other things. But I always throw that credit out there because that's the fun one to me.
Yeah, but there were like 20 different Pink Power Rangers. So,
She was the best one.
well, I mean, there was also Amy Jo Johnson, and
Right.
you know,
Amy
so,
Jo was the first one, I believe.
yeah.
So Erin Cahill, she was the Pink Ranger, but she's done 100 different things, and
Yeah.
she's in so many different things, and she's just a phenomenal actress. Ryan Carlberg plays our lead. He was in Van Wilder, and he's been in several things. Alan Maldonado, who is now really blowing up. He's on the TV series Blackish. He just came out opposite Denzel in The Equalizer as one of the main supporting actors. He's in Straight Outta Compton coming out. Just tons of stuff coming up for him. And Alan's a good friend of mine. Alan's also in Cut. He plays the pimp.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, so Alan's fantastic actor, and I'm very proud to have him as a friend. We've been friends for many years, which is great. So really strong cast. Roger Clemens makes a nice little cameo appearance in the movie. Dat Fan, who won Last Comic Standing Season 1, Dat's in it. And Josh Blue, who won Last Comic Standing Season 4. So they're both in the movie as well. And one of the most amazing actresses around, Kate Vernon from Battlestar Galactica and the 100s, and her dad was John Vernon, from Animal House and a million other things. So it's really a very strong cast and a fun movie.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you got your plate full, man. We're out of time. I mean, I could sit here and talk to you all night, but I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This has just been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come out here and say hello. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, get hold of us when 108 comes out.
It's already out. It's out everywhere.
Oh,
108. It's on Amazon, iTunes, everywhere. It was in theaters last September, and
okay.
And
Sorry
sorry,
about that.
Cut's out on Amazon right now too, and it's on the Netflix DVD queue.
Well, with that, I mean, I saw Cut. Now everyone else needs to go out and see Cut.
That would be amazing.
This is a great movie. It's right up there with all the other great indie films that are out within the last year or two. Again, thank you for coming on, David. With that, I'm the 13th Wolfman. He's David Rountree, and we are on the prowl.